Asking already, where are we in the chat? And we're here. Pit Marine, we're here. Anybody home? Yes, we're here. You know what time it is. It's Buff Time, baby. It's Brian and Chico here with Premium Primetime Buff Talk. Back once again on the first week of fall camp with the Colorado Buffaloes. Practice number 3 was just done, and we're coming up
Practice
on the end
4.
of the week.
Today
Actually,
was practice
practice 4
4,
was
yeah.
today. Yeah,
Mhm.
practice number 3 was yesterday. 4 was today. And media availability coming up again, and the last one was DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge. What were some of the things you took away from being there, seeing them? And first of all, tell us how has it been these last couple of days, not seeing each other, not talking to each other, and then we'll get into the media.
Yeah, it's been good. It's interesting covering a team that you can't really watch their practice, but you got to get a feel for the team in different ways. You got to kind of read the team, read how these guys talk. You see the guys walk by you, things you always pay attention to certain things, but I think there's a good vibe around this team. There usually is the first week. Robert Livingston had the quote the other day. He said, right now everything is rainbows and butterflies, because we haven't lost a game and things like that. So, yeah, everybody's kind of fresh. So it does, there's usually a good vibe first week. But I do think that this team has, um, some confidence to it that they had it last year too. But I feel like it's different this year that, that there's more talent and confidence along with it.
Yeah, I agree. Watching the well off medias, the reach to people medias, and the pregame show, you'll see that on the sideline, the defensive line is really I say that the whole defensive players are out there and they're cheering each
Mhm.
other on. It's a different type of vibe. I feel like just an uptick. I think last year, kind of like getting to know everybody. We were just talking about first day of school here, out here with my kids. I think it was more like the first day of school. You know some people, but you don't know everybody else, so you kind of like on eggshells or whatever. But this year, I think we and they understand the urgency of what's coming up this year. They understand
Mhm.
after going through last year and coming up short of what they wanted to get to as far as their goal. They know this year, hey man, we got to put, as they say in football, balls to the wall. We have
Yeah.
to be all out, and we have to not worry about offending anybody. We have to not worry about feelings. We have to not worry about messing up. We got to go full speed and just see what happens. And I think the talent that's been uh, brought in and amassed with this squad has been super, just improved across the board, which is
Yeah.
I think is gonna show once we get into game time. So,
Yeah, for sure.
anybody you've
And
been go ahead.
no, I was just say, yeah, for sure. And Adam and I talked about this on our video yesterday, but a lot is made of you know, chemistry and guys if they know each other for a long time. And Adam reminded me of a quote Shiloh gave to me at Media Day, in July, where Shiloh told me, he's like, look, I don't need to play with you for a year to know if I can get along with you. He goes, I
Right.
can hang out with you for a day and know if I'm cool with you. And and you see that with some of these guys. And one of the takeaways Adam and I had from yesterday. DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge, they went to the podium together, which was kind of interesting because we don't get that a whole lot, but they went together. And while they're starting, other players are still funneling off the field. Well,
Hmm.
Shiloh and Cam, they Cam actually stood behind Adam, puts his I look over, Cam has his arm around Adam,
Yeah,
and then
he's
all of a
reaching.
sudden and starts asking questions, and Shiloh's asking questions, and there clearly is some brotherhood and some friendship going on there that those are two guys that got here in January, so they can get to
Yeah,
know each other.
exactly. And of course, Shiloh and Cam, been knowing each other since Jackson State, and they have that bond. And if you could see that same type of bond in two guys that just came in January, in McKinney and Hodge, I think
Yeah.
that's great for this team as far as chemistry goes and team building, because they're going to need that on the field to play with each other. And I think those two are going to be some key pieces to this team's success. If they can play well on the outside and take some pressure off of Travis Hunter and
Hmm.
get some turnovers. Hodge played great in that slot, uh, playing those crossers and those quick slant and hot routes. If he could be a factor there, DJ McKinney on the outside, even a guy like Colton Hood, if he can come in and step up, the defensive backfield is going to be, tremendous as far as should I say essential as far as the win total of this team. But that goes and that plays along with the defensive line also. If they can get pressure on the quarterback, that's
Mhm.
going to help the defensive backs play well also because they're not going to have to cover for as long.
Yeah, for sure. And sticking with the DBs, I chatted with an Oklahoma State beat writer this week, and that video is going to post next week at some point. But Oklahoma State didn't lose a lot in the transfer portal, but DJ McKinney might actually be the best player they lost. And she
Hmm.
told me that was one that when McKinney went in the transfer portal, that Oklahoma State people were just kind of like, we didn't want to lose that guy, and
Right.
that's a good thing to hear that they don't want to lose a guy that you got. And so he was a really good player at Oklahoma State that was just starting his career. He was a freshman last year.
Hmm.
Preston Hodge, people forget or may not remember that he was a starting DB on a 12-0 football team or 13-0 football team until they got shellacked in the bowl game. But he was already in the portal by then. But he was a starter on a team that was 13-0 last year. So
Yep.
these are two legit guys. And if you remember, I always have to be careful in saying this because I'm not trying to dog on the guys that were here last year. But when you look at the difference in the quality of who they brought in this year, remember last year the guys they're bringing in were people that they were backups at some other place, right? And like, all right, this is sort of your second chance because you didn't get to play a whole lot at Alabama,
Right.
or you
Right.
didn't get to play at Mississippi or whatever it was. And now it's like, no, we just grabbed a guy that played 600 snaps at Oklahoma State. We just grabbed a
Right.
guy that was a starter at Liberty. And so it's a different caliber of player that you're bringing in. And I think that makes a huge difference. And now all of a sudden, you've got Travis Hunter, who's played 4,000 snaps, or whatever
Hmm.
it is. I'm exaggerating. You got
Yeah.
McKinney, you got Preston Hodge, you got Shiloh, you got Cam, you have Trevor Woods that I know he's a linebacker, but he can move back if you need to. Look at all that experience and the snaps played just in that group right there.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And then you bring over another guy, not to be left out, but the latest buff, Ian Massey, who came over from Oregon State. And if you look at his practice film, although he doesn't have a lot of game film and stats because of injuries and because he played behind an NFL safety right now
Mhm.
that plays for the Packers, I think. But he is a guy, I think, if you look at his film, he may be able to come in. Let's just say he's healthy and he
Yeah.
learns the
Mhm.
pack the defense. He's going to be on the field somewhere. He's
Yeah.
a he can come down in the box. He can make tackles. He can cover the safeties, or I'm sorry, he can cover from the safety position. He can cover the linebackers in the backside of the backfield. Has good size at 6'1", 219 pounds. So if anybody's struggling back there in the defensive backfield, if anybody gets hurt, I think you got to look out for the newest buff, Ian Massey, to be a factor back there in the defensive backfield. That only helps the Buffs to bring in more competition like that and high quality guy. He's graduated from Oregon State, so he has the head
Yeah.
on his shoulders. So I think he can be another piece back there in the defensive backfield.
Well, and I will say, the great pastor E. Dewey Smith would get on me and say, "Hey, don't forget about Colton Hood. That's his
Right.
guy from down in Georgia. Colton Hood didn't play a whole lot at Auburn last year, but it was redshirting. Super talented kid that he's going to be a factor in there as well. Doesn't have that game experience, but that's a kid that has got some experience as well.
Yeah. So if you look at just some of the guys we lost last year with Marion Cooper,
Mhm.
Jaquez Robinson, and in that defensive backfield, and then you bring in the
Kenrich,
guys to replace him,
yeah,
Slusher and Breed Love,
yep,
and you bring in some guys to replace him. Like you said, those guys who are named, minus of Slusher, were guys who really wanted to play more at the Alabamas and Florida States, and they
hmm
had an opportunity to come to Colorado and say, like you said, here's a second chance to do this. But when you come, you can be more confident this year when you bring in those guys, like you said, that played over 500 snaps and had some starts under their belts, and who's been productive, like a DJ McKinney
hmm
and Preston Hodge, should I say? So, pair them with Travis Hunter, pair them with Shiloh Sanders back there in the backfield, and the experience at the linebackers with Bentley and Woods, who should be a lot better this year with the defensive line improving, which we have a lot of bodies up there we need to talk about.
Hmm.
I think you have a much improved defense that's going to surprise some people who are still looking at the guys from last year.
Well, yeah, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. Adam and I talked about this as well, but about how much improved cornerback is, and how
Yeah.
everybody talks about the offensive line, the defensive line, and we get all that. We talk about the receivers that are coming in, and they're impressive, but I think you could argue that cornerback is the most improved spot, because what did they struggle with all last year was who's that number 2 guy opposite of Travis, let alone a number 3.
Yep.
And now you got 3,
Yep.
4, maybe 5 guys. You're like, yeah, I'm comfortable with all 5 of those guys, or at least 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 right off the top that I'm
Definitely
like,
three.
I know I feel good about.
Definitely three with Hood, um, Hodge, and McKinney. Definitely those three, and we'll see who's going to be the other guys that can step up too. So, a lot of good talk back there in the defensive backfield, but for the Buffs, let's move up front though, right quick to the.
Hey, real quick,
Um,
I see a question I want to just pick up. Taylor Made asks about Slusher. I have not seen him
okay.
get picked up anywhere. He asked if Slusher's been picked up. I have not seen him get picked up anywhere. So if he's landed somewhere, it hasn't been announced.
Interesting. Shouts out to Miles Slusher. Hopefully, he finds him a home somewhere. Guy can play.
Yeah.
But just hopefully he's healthy and somebody has a scholarship out there to be able to offer him. So, yep. So if we move to the defensive, but let's say before the defensive line, I just noticed something. I thought about this last night, and I just said it a little bit now. But if you notice, we still have that core in the middle of that defense with
Mm-hmm.
Shiloh, with Silman Craig, with Bentley, and with Trevor Woods. You still even have Amari McNeil. So some guys in that middle are still there, but you really added a lot of pieces around them to complement them because you had
Mm-hmm.
confidence in them. They played well overall, but when you improve the pieces around them, you should get better results as an overall defense. So
Yeah, Shane Cokes as
looking
well.
at the Shane Cokes as well, Amari
Yeah.
McNeil, Shane Cokes exactly. So you add competition pieces with them, to help them compete each day at practice. Then you got Damian Lewis and Warren Sapp tag teaming as
Mm-hmm.
coaches. I love to see them together. I would like to point this out: Sapp being the Hall of Famer, Lewis being the veteran. If I'm not mistaken, he might have been on that Super Bowl team with the Rams when they won. But you see that there's no ego there as far as trying to say I'm the head coach, I'm the main
Mm-hmm.
guy. Well, we know Sapp is a Hall of Famer, but we know Damian Lewis has more of coaching experience. So of course he gets the title as defensive line coach, but you still have Sapp there really adding his input. The same way you see the offensive line being headed up by Phil Lodholt, who played outside at offensive tackle, but you see the inside guys working with Big George Hageman, who played inside more in his NFL career. So you're getting specialists that's working with these guys on the offensive and defensive line who's actually been there and done it. And I think that's going to resonate throughout this season and translate on the field definitely.
Yeah, and let's not forget for the offensive line that Pat Shermer was a longtime offensive line coach, and I
Uh-oh.
believe he was an All Big 12 center at Michigan State. You got me, Chico?
No, I didn't get you, but based off the last time we filmed, it came through clearly. So it might be just on my end. I didn't hear anything you said.
But can you hear me now?
I can hear you going in and out just a little bit, but go
Okay,
ahead,
all right.
make your statement. Let me see.
Yeah, I was just saying that the other thing is that Pat
Nope.
Shermer has been a long time offensive line coach, so they got plenty of NFL style coaching.
All right. Well, I'll reload this and see if we stay on with this one right here. But if I'm still here, can you guys hear me? Let me know. If you can, get in the chat and let us know where you're checking in from and how you're checking in. Brian, let's try this again to see if I can hear you. But I know everybody else can hear you out there in the chat, but I didn't hear you. Let's go. All right. What'd you say, Brian?
All right, can you hear me?
Nope, you're going in and out. But Slusher was 9-4's finally said Slusher was one of the guys I wish we could have kept. He made plays against TCU. Hope he finds a new home. Um, I think the guys that we brought in though are really going to be guys that can play in that role that Slusher did play in, up on the line of scrimmage. Um, he also can play on special teams and can. He's just a good tackling safety. You know what I mean? So let's see here. Chico got Metro PCS. They're getting in on me.
Well, it sounds
I
like
can
they can
hear you,
hear
Taylor
us.
Mason. I can see. I know they can hear you out there, but maybe
Yeah.
it's just me. Y'all got to remember, I'm out here in the middle of the ocean, man. I'm out here in Hawaii, and no matter if I got Metro PCS or Spectrum,
I can hear
all
you
right.
just
So
fine. You
y'all
can't
can.
hear me though, huh?
Yeah, everybody can hear each other. Everybody can hear us. Maybe I think it's just me not being able to hear you a little bit, but it's all right. We'll get to it.
We're gonna get through it somehow.
Well, I'm going to do this, Brian. I'm going to play this. I'm going to put these pictures up here
Okay.
because I had these pictures set up to where they shared them from their social media page, and I wanted to get your reaction to some of them and just see what your thoughts were on them, as I'll kind of add mine also. And first one, let me see. First one will be Coach D. Lewis, and we talked about Coach D. Lewis, and as he said, he brings that juice as he wants to, really do, and have the defensive line really amped up out there. So, what do you think about Coach D. Lewis and what he has brought so far to the Colorado Buffaloes?
Yeah, bringing energy and obviously NFL experience. Coaching with the Seahawks, and so you got to love the energy he brings. And a 10-year veteran, combined with Warren Sapp, that's a pretty good duo right there. But you look at that photo, he certainly got energy.
Nice, and you could tell in this photo, like you said, and it's always good for players to see and to be coached by players that they know that have done it before. And that's why you see so many guys gravitate towards Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, because of what he's already done in the past. And they know that he knows the path to get to where they want to go. So
Mhm.
here we go again. The guy that's coached by Coach D. Lewis. Here's Shane Cokes. You mentioned him earlier. A guy holding over from last year, came over from Dartmouth in the transfer portal last year, was a leader, emerged as a leader this time last year. Now in that rotation, a lot of competition on the defensive line. Uh, talk to me a little bit about Shane Cokes.
Yeah, obviously a great human being, and made the watch list for the Werfel Trophy, which goes to, really honors the community service and things like that. Great human being, good
Hmm.
player that I think maybe struggled a little bit with that jump from Dartmouth last year. Uh, I don't think his production matched some of the hype last year. Not that he had a terrible year by any means, but I didn't think that he was as productive as maybe we thought. I think he's a guy that I look to as being a candidate for most improved on this defense. I think he's got a real shot to have a much better year this year, and maybe he benefits as much as anybody with all that new talent and competition coming in on the defensive line, because I think that he's a big dude, he's a great dude, and I'd love to see him have a good year. And it looks like Chico jumped out for a second. But yeah, Shane Cokes. I mean, for those of you that don't know the Werfel Trophy, it does honor a lot of that community service and just kind of the way it likes to honor the people, like how they present themselves in the community and things like that. And we've seen a lot of that with Shane Cokes, and he's certainly you have to love the way he's indoctrinated himself into Buff culture, and really loves being here. And I think Buff fans, he's got to be a fan favorite. I don't know what you guys all think about Shane Cokes, but certainly one of those guys that it loves being a Buff. It appears he loves being a Buff.
Yes, I agree with that. Shout out to Shane Cokes. Got another question saying, did you see Green Down Sap? And that was on the pregame shows, uh, uh, behind the scenes, or all access, should I say?
Mhm.
Um, you know how the coaches have the dummy holding it. Maybe I should try to find that clip, but the coaches will have the dummy holding it, and BJ Green just came and bam, upended Warren Sapp. Sapp ended up on his back, on his shoulders. You know, I think that shows the explosiveness of BJ Green, and he's going to be a monster to deal with this year on that defensive line.
He is my. I think he's my favorite transfer addition of the offseason. I think he's going to be the most impactful, or could be one of the most impactful, at least on defense. I loved watching him at Arizona State, and it sounds like he's kind of blowing up the offensive line in those one-on-one drills. I saw one clip today where Justin Mayers had a really nice rep against him, but it sounds like BJ is really kind of owning that offensive line. I think that's an okay thing. I don't think that says anything bad about the offensive line. I want to see a BJ Green kind of destroying the offensive line because you want to see him doing that all year. The Buffs have not had a defensive lineman really kind of destroy the offensive line in a long time. I mean, Mustafa Johnson from a few years ago was really, really good and did that. If BJ Green can be anything like Mustafa Johnson was, or even better, for those that remember him, they're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, need a dominant defensive line. At least one or two players on that to be dominant, so that the offensive line will have to be worried about them and game plan for them. Maybe those other guys can then have an avenue to step up.
But that's where I think, if BJ Green's as good as we think, and Chidozie Nwankwo, guys like that, I think it's going to free up guys like a Shane Cokes and Amari McNeil to be even better than they were last year. And so that's where I think a Shane Cokes could really benefit from a BJ Green being here.
Right, me too. All right, here we go. Let's go here with this pick. We were just talking about the defensive line. We're talking about BJ Green. Talk about Tarion Carter and how they've been fired up, feeding off each other, playing around, hopping, bouncing around, making turnovers when they go in the team drill, in the team aspect of practice. What do you think, once again, about what that defensive line can bring together once they really come together and understand, how each other plays and how to feed off each other? Those guys right there, I think we have more guys same way in that defensive backfield that you bring in guys who've played and started games. I think you have more guys who've played a lot of snaps, like Tarion Carter, D. Hayes, Okunlola. All those guys have played a lot of football. Ryan Buell, and then Cokes and Chidozie Nwankwo and Amari McNeil. You have 6, 7, 8 guys that could really play and has played games in college football, and that matters. That absolutely matters in college football when you play in the stadium that's packed out and you're able to perform and not let the jitters and the crowd and everybody get to you, in that ball game. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it's honestly, it's one of the reasons why I was a little bit skeptical about this team last year. And, fans didn't like to hear it, got labeled a hater. Sometimes I wasn't a hater. It's just, I've seen it before, at Colorado, where guys come up from the FCS level or something, and they struggle a little bit. And, last year that was a spot where, look at the defensive lineman they brought in. It was Amari McNeil, who had a really good year, I thought, had not played much at Tennessee. You had guys that you were bringing in that had not played a whole lot at their previous stops. But the difference is this year, all those guys, you just mentioned it. Tarion Carter's played a lot of football. Chidozie's played a lot of football. Okunlola and Deion Hayes were two of the top pass rushers at Pitt last year. BJ Green, I mean, that photo that you just showed, all the FBS snaps that those three guys, I think it was Tarion Carter, Shane Cokes, and BJ Green, all the FBS snaps those guys have played now combined has got to be more than even probably the whole defensive line last year. So, I think what you bring in this year, the quality is just better at all the positions. And that's why I like this team so much better than last year.
Yes, indeed. 100%. Let's go here. Coach Prime out there doing this thing. He's always, like he said, he keep it to 100. I had a clip from the pregame show where he said this. And some people might not like it. Some people might like it or whatever. Some people might not even care. But he said in front of everybody, hey, man, we're going to go to team drills. We're going to go full speed. You have your pads on, but stay off the quarterback, of course. Stay off the receivers, of course. Don't hit the receivers because they're defenseless. And leave Travis alone. And basically he said, yes, I said it. And I'm just keeping it 100. And I think that says a lot. I'm just keeping it 100. because you got people out there that'll say, I wish you would just keep it real. I wish you would just tell the truth. But then when people do tell the truth, like Coach Prime, how do you deal with it now? He just said it out there and he said, well, every coach either would say in America or want to say, stay off of our best player. We need him.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. And it's just Coach Prime just, he just says it. Just
Well,
like that.
that's the thing from a media perspective, especially that, everybody always says, man, I wish coaches would just, they stop doing the coach speak. If they would talk, give us the real things of what they think. And then Coach Prime does it and people are like, well, wait a minute, you shouldn't say that. Like, no, that's what we want him to say. Right. But
Right.
yeah, keeping it real. And I love how he said, when he said about Travis, he goes, I'm not playing favorites. It's just, I'm keeping it 100, and,
right.
And we know Travis is one of his favorites, but still the point that he's making is we need this guy, both sides of the ball. Don't blow him up on the practice field. We need this guy. And so, I like he's doing that. And by the way, one other spot.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was going to say, you're not going to get any points in practice for doing anything to Travis anyway, like hurting him,
right,
blowing him up, blindsiding him. You're not going to get any points in practice for doing that, dog. You're going to get deductions for doing that.
Well, if you blow up Travis Hunter, what you're going to do is get an invitation to the transfer portal.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do want one other thing about that photo of Coach Prime, and we've seen you can put it back up if you want, but like you see him in a hoodie. I got to tell people that aren't living here, it's been like 95 to 100 degrees every day.
It's hot out
this
there.
week, so it's really hot. He's wearing a hoodie now. They're going in the morning. It's not quite 100 yet, but you got to give the man some props for wearing the hoodie. when it's 95 degrees.
Let me say this, and this is controversial, I guess, about the hoodie in the heat, because I had a coach. Shout out to Coach Mark Hurt. I had a coach back in Alabama, and he used to wear hoodies in the heat, and he used to be practicing, running around. Like the hoodie would be drenched, after we're done, and he would say, "Well, for one, the hoodie keeps me cooler." I'm like, "How could it keep you cooler?" He said, "The sun is not on my skin." And I thought about, so then I start kind of wearing the long sleeves, and I would understand that's where you get the long sleeve Under Armour joints come from, and but I think in some cases, some people, it actually keeps them cooler to keep the sun off of their skin directly, and they would rather just have on a hoodie or long sleeves and go like that. So I've seen it done before. So I don't know. I still think they're a little bit off for doing it though. Like the hoodie dog, coach. But yeah.
Hey, well, the thing is though, when it's that hot, you're gonna sweat either way, right?
You're gonna sweat either way. So I don't know. You feel maybe a little bit, few degrees cooler if the sun is not directly leaning on you. All right, here's another picture right here from fall camp, and it's Trevor Woods eyeing look like Brandon Hood, the running back, freshman running back, in the hole right here. So Trevor weighing in now at 217 at the linebacker spot. One of the guys in the middle, the core of that defense, holding over. A lot more confident this year to make plays in the hole. We see him make 2 or 3 picks already in the spring. Back-to-back picks once I saw. That's hard to do, man. It's hard to get back-to-back picks as a team.
Yeah, and Trevor Woods, I love what he said the other day about, I asked him about the difference between playing safety and linebacker, and he said, playing linebacker, I can hide a little bit more, because playing safety, he was that quarterback's keying on the safeties every time, because we know, pre-snap, what's the quarterback looking at? Okay, where are the safeties playing? That's a lot of times where you read that defense, and he goes, I can hide a little bit more and make some plays, and I love the fact he's up to 217 now, because he's been listed at 205, and that's been the big question mark, and even the roster still has him at 205, but when he says he's 217 now, I would imagine that by the end of camp he's going to be around 209. You know how that goes, losing weight during camp, but a little bit bigger Trevor Woods. He doesn't need to be 230, but I think if he's around that 215 range, I feel much better about Trevor Woods in there, and I know he can play football. I mean, I've seen him play for 3 years now before this year, so I know he can play.
Most definitely can play. I want to answer this question right here with a guy in the position that Trevor Woods will have to be covering this year at the tight end spot. And just my opinion said, Chico, you're a former tight end. What do you think about Sam Hart? From what I've seen so far of Sam Hart, for one, he's a big body. He's
Mhm.
happy to be home, as he said in one of the videos. He's happy to be back in his home state. So that makes a difference. He's where he wants to be and feels good being. So he's going to perform better. He gets the playbook down. I think he'll be that starter. He can set the edge as a tight end, but also have shown that he can play over the middle of the field and be a big body security blanket type receiver for Shador Sanders. Now, can he get the separation like a Travis Kelce over the middle of that field from linebackers and safety? I'm not, I haven't seen how shifty he is right now so far, but like I said, a big body tight end can run some 7 routes. Will be good on some play action, bootlegs, throwing it out there to him, letting them body up and get rebounds against smaller defenders, so to speak. So I like Sam Hart and what he looks like he can bring coming from the Ohio State program. So he's played against some tough defensive ends. The defensive lineman had to block some guys. And so I think he'll be a great addition to this football team. I don't think his role will be huge. They won't ask him to do each and everything in the
Mhm.
passing game, but if he can be a factor in the run game and in play action, he will be everything what's needed in his offense to be successful, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you know he doesn't have to be like Travis Kelce, right, or a George Kittle, you know, because with all the talent they have at receiver, that's where Shador's going to throw the ball. I mean, I
Hmm.
see Sam Hart if he's got 15 catches at the end of the year, I think that's a good year for him, and I
Right.
think it's going to be if he's catching the ball, it's going to be in the red zone or short yardage things where it's every once in the blue moon where you know you throw you throw the defense off by throwing to Sam Hart because like whoa they actually are throwing to the tight end now, and so I think it's going to be more
Yeah.
like that. And what you need Sam Hart to do is really block in that run game. That's what they missed last year. Mikey Harrison had a really nice year as a receiving tight end, but was really just a receiver. They need Sam Hart and Savell Smalls or whoever it is to really block in the run game. I mean, that's where Sam Hart's got to be huge, and that's where I'd like his size. I think he can be a good asset.
Yeah. Shout out to Savell Smalls. He could be that H back type fullback
Mm-hmm.
type player in the goal line situations. I think that'll be good for the team and for himself to get on the field this year.
Yeah, I remember last year, like short yardage, there was a couple plays where they had Shane Cokes and Bishop Thomas in their blocking because they didn't have tight ends that could do it. So I
Right.
don't mind that, but I'd rather see a Sam Hart and a Savell Smalls back there. Chico in and out a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but
Sorry about that.
that's okay. Hey,
No, no, no.
I understand you're on the islands. That's okay.
Definitely. But I would definitely like to see those guys play a lot more this year. But let's see, answer a couple of other questions. Let me see. Preston Hodge had 2 picks yesterday. He's making plays. You saw Big Tafiq Thomas pick up. I don't know whether it was a fumble or interception tip pass, but he was able to run it back the other way with the whole defense coming behind him. So
Yeah.
that defense, if they're showing that type of enthusiasm, and jumping up and down when another guy makes a play, whether it's the guy that they're competing with at the position or not, then that's a good thing. That's bringing this defense together more. Coach Rob Livingston is showing his leadership and what he's learned in the NFL by coaching them the way that he's doing and allowing them to excel at positions and assignments that they're good at. The
Mhm.
best if they're great pass protectors, or if they're great should I say, blitzers. If they're great in the nickel, whatever, he's going to put them in position to do that, and that's what I like about Coach Livingston. And then he got the assistant coaches around him to carry out those assignments, but keep the guys fired up. That juice, as Coach D. Lewis say.
Yeah, for sure. Because Livingston, my take on him is he's not going to bring that juice a ton like a Warren Sapp. They're very different, but Livingston is you know very very smart guy. I mean he does have some of that to him. He's got a little dog in him. I remember I talked to um, his coach from college, and he was telling me there was a play where back when he was playing at William and Mary. that they're in this
Mm-hmm.
playoff game, and the opposition, they're going to do this fake field goal, and he was the only one. Livingston was the only one that saw it, and he ran over
Yeah.
and told everybody, "Hey, it's a fake, it's a fake." And so the team got out of it, and had to do a regular field goal, and the guy missed or whatever. And he ran and got in the face of the other team on the sideline and said, and just kind of bragged that he snuffed it out. And so
He's
he's got a little dog
yeah.
in him.
Yeah, you could tell too, and I would say you can't be an NFL coach and have success and coach for that long and not have no dog in you. You're coaching
Yeah,
grown men with millions of dollars who, as my coach used to say, prima donnas, whatever that means. But prima
yeah,
donnas. So you have to have a dog in you to handle those uh, personalities, so to speak.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
I
he's
like
got
Coach
it.
Davidson,
But
man.
yeah, I like him. I think he's a good, sort of balance with guys like Sapp and Damian Lewis and Coach Hart. Even we know Coach Hart's got the energy.
Oh yeah, shout out to Coach Hart too. Y'all check out Coach Hart and Coach Pollock on the pregame show on their show called The Whistle. I like
Right,
Coach Pollock, my main man, Coach Pollock, out there. All right, let me see. Got a couple other pictures right here. The main man of this offense of this whole team right here. I call him Shiggity, number 2, double S, Shador Sanders. Hey man, he said he missed a game and a half last year. Still threw for 3,200 yards. He probably would have thrown for over 3,500 had he played in those other 2 games. Projections for Shador Sanders this year: only 3 picks last year. Over under same. What are you thinking?
I'm not as worried about the picks as much as the touchdowns need to go up for this team to take that next step. 27 was a good number, but I think I'd like to see that get 35 to 40 range. The yards I don't care as much about, but I think he's going to wind up anywhere between 3,500 and 4,000 yards. The picks are still going to be below 10. I think if you got 35 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, even that's probably too many. But even 35 and 9 is not a bad ratio. But I bet he's still around 5-6 picks.
Yeah, which is amazing to me
If
to continue to do
if he's
and
got
consistently do.
yeah, if he's got 35 touchdowns and only 3 picks this year, whew, you know,
10 to
just
1, man.
yeah,
That's whew, man, that's
yeah,
cold blooded right there, Shador Sanders, man. And that's 4 years in a row pretty much doing about that ratio of touchdowns to interceptions. He just doesn't turn the ball over a lot, which is
yeah,
something that you want on the next level from your quarterback. Just keep us in the game. Don't hurt us at the very least. Don't hurt us. Don't throw the ball away. Don't have a million turnovers. So that should do it, Sanders. That's his MO, to take care of the ball and
yeah.
to make the right reads and stuff. I think he's going to be in a position this year to do that even more.
And I do think that one of the knocks on him is that he holds on to the ball too long, and that some of those sacks are probably on him, and they're probably right. I think that is one of those things he's probably got to fix. But I'd rather have him, hold on to the ball than make a bad throw that winds up in the opponent's hands. Right? I'd rather almost take that sack than throw the pick.
Well, I'll say this coming from, and this is being a wide receiver, tight end also. Um, I'll say this, and you will have to go back and evaluate each and every pass drop back where he held on to the ball what seemed to be too long. And you'll only know this if you're looking at the film or in that film room, in the
Mhm.
offensive meeting rooms. Was it on the receivers? Did these guys get open? What were they running the correct routes? So this year, I would anticipate him to. We're not going to see as much as that this year because we've done what? We've improved that position also at the wide
Yeah,
receiver position. You have, I think, more guys who can get open from the whether it's off of press coverage or whatever. You can read the defenses faster, and this offense will be a lot more fluent and conducive to that. To Shador Sanders getting those pre-snap reads and the wide receivers being on the same page rather than last year where we are probably guessing whether this
yeah,
receiver is going to be on that page and see the same thing that I see, and then I'll find out after the snap, and that's
yeah,
a couple of times he's going to hold on the ball too long because they're going to be on the different pages. This year, we see what's coming. We see the hots is right here, hot right here. You know what you got. I
Mhm.
see the two safeties back here. We know what we got. They roll to one. I know we're gonna adjust to. Everything is gonna be right there, and we're gonna be in pocket with it rather than guessing at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I remember from media day, and I know you saw this too, but like, remember when Shiloh and Shador were doing their breakout session together, and
Oh
Shador
yeah,
was asked about that, and he goes, I don't really pay attention to the opinions of people that haven't played, and Shiloh kind of laughed, but Shador made a good point. He's like, look, he goes, you get sacked 50 times, and tell me how your footwork is,
and
and
he was
that's
so
that's a
serious
good
about
point.
that, man.
Yes,
He was so
and,
serious about that. You go back there and get sacked.
yeah, but I loved that candid moment from him, and that honest moment from him, where he's like, where he basically was saying, yeah, I know my footwork was off a little bit, but man, you get sacked 50 times, and tell me how you feel, how your footwork
Man,
is.
if you walk down the hallway, just get your family, right? And this goes for everybody out there listening in. Just get your family. If you got 2 or 3 people in your family, get your family right. And we kind of used to do this back in the day. But if you got a hallway in your house and you got multiple doors, get your family. Put your mom in this room, put your sister, your whoever in these rooms, and you just walk through the hallway, or you can run. And as you go through the hallway, let them get them a pillow, right? And just hit you, bow, as you walk
Yeah,
through. So you take one lick, bam, take 2 licks, take 3 licks as you walk through. And then do it again. And then do it again. And then do it again. I guarantee you're not going to walk through that hallway the same way you did the first time. You're going to be
yeah,
kind of flinching for, anticipating, looking out for, and you're not going to always just be watching where you're going. So
yeah.
come on, man. And I understand what Shador was saying, and that's one of those candid moments, like you said. But you know, like shout out to Skip Bayless or anybody like him who've been covering the game for a long time. They know what they're seeing. They know what they're watching. It's respect. But when you are criticizing to a point like a Shador Sanders and saying, "Hey, man, look at your footwork on this one, on that 47 time you got sacked," you're like, "Wait a minute. What you judging my footwork on this? This the
Yeah,
foot? All right." That's when that comes out of you, like, man, you don't know what you're talking about because
yeah.
you're trying. Yeah. So shout out to Shador on that. That was one of the few times you'll see that candid moment like that too.
Well,
So
and that's why I was asked. I know it was a station in Waco, and they posted this clip the other day from me on their show, where I said, "Look, if Shador Sanders gets protection, he's going to be in New York for the Heisman." Again,
off the top,
I firmly believe that you know uh, even if CU's 7-5, 8-4, that's not Heisman type win loss record, but even if they're that, I think that if you protect Shador Sanders, he's going to put up numbers that look like what Bo Nix did last year, what Michael Penix did last year, because I just think I've been so impressed with him. If you give him time, he's going to carve up the defense.
he's going to do it, and we've seen it time and time again. Once he's have that time to do it, I think the difference this year is going to be the defense giving him more opportunities and not
Mm-hmm.
being just squeezed out and sponged. It won't be a wet paper bag defense this year. Hopefully, I won't have to use that term on my live stream when talking about this defense. No wet paper bag defense going on this year. We can get the ball back, get some 3-and-outs, get Shador Sanders in the offense a lot more chances on to score in ball games. More
Yeah.
possessions equal more points for the Buffs, and that's how you win ball games, scoring more points than the other team. So I'm looking forward to it. We got some running backs making some plays out there. Look like Charlie is in that starting spot, working with the first team, which is putting a smile on everybody's face. It's going to be hard to take it from him. I'll tell you that much. He's going to have a pit bull grip on that spot right there, holding it down. So I don't know how somebody's going to jump him. They're just going to have to take their opportunities and make the best of them, as you've seen Hayden do a few times. You've seen Hood do a
Yeah.
few, and Michael Welch out there do a few times at practice.
Yeah. And I saw a question there about Isaiah Augustave as well. I like him as well. I mean, he's a big back I think it's going to add a lot. I'm not sure who it's going to shake down and be as far as the lead back. I'm not sure there's going to be one, but I think that you've got really good options out there, and
I
I
don't
like
want to see
Isaiah.
one, Brian. I don't want
Yeah,
to see one.
yeah,
I'm the guy. I'm not so stuck on just having one running back. Now you talk about some other positions,
yeah,
maybe, yeah.
yeah,
But running back, where you're going to expend that energy, you're getting hit constantly, um, you can spell out easily. It's just like the defensive line for me. Running back, defensive line, and even wide receiver, I'm subbing out constantly in the
yeah,
game. I got three or four that I like as far as the running backs, defensive linemen. I got two wide receiver rotation going on, two deep wide receivers. So I'm not. I don't want to hear that starter and 1A, 1B stuff. I want to hear. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Everybody get an opportunity early. If he's hot, we're gonna stay with him. I don't care if he's the fourth guy that got an opportunity.
yeah.
I'm gonna stay with the guy that's hot.
So, yeah, so I mean, it sounds like you would rather, so the Big 12 is loaded with running backs. Ollie Gordon, Taj
Hmm.
Brooks. I mean, they're loaded with star running backs. Sounds like you would much rather have um, three guys with 500 yards than one guy with 1,500.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I'll take that all day
I agree
because
with you.
you're
Yeah,
gonna be fresher later on in the season. You're not
mhm,
gonna be dependent on one guy. If he goes down, oh, what do we do next?
yeah,
Even the defenses that you're playing against, they're gonna have to game plan more now for three guys rather than for one guy. That's taking
yeah,
away more time from game planning for Shador Sanders and the main thing. So yeah, I want three running backs for 500 yards, and
mhm,
and go from there, and take
yeah,
your pick at who you want to stop. You know, and then if one of the freshmen will probably have to red shirt, and I think the other one who's not going to red shirt is going to have a big impact. So whether that's
yeah,
Welch or Hood, whether they red shirt or not, I think they're going to have an impact somehow, some way. Charlie may start off the year starting. Hayden will have big impact in the passing game. Uh, Augusto will probably be that guy in red zone, short yardage situation. So everybody has a role, I would
yeah,
think, and you know, it's just how you use them and just not get stuck. Like I feel like we got stuck with. And I'll be honest, my guy Big Bank Hank, Anthony Hankerson.
yeah,
Hank, once he emerged as Coach Flea's number one guy, I think we just kind of rode him. I saw him get some carries while he was tired, and I'm like, why?
yeah,
Why should he get carries when he's tired? When you got Cavassier Smoke getting no carries,
yeah,
when you have Savion Wilkerson, a former 1,000-yard runner, getting one or two carries. Is this guy Barry Sanders or something? And,
yeah.
no hate on him. He could have been anybody, but I'm just saying the rotation type that I would do as opposed to just using one guy. That's me.
Yeah, I just want to see some consistency with the rotation. I thought last year was just I didn't understand what they were doing with the running back rotation, and I'd like to just see more consistency and just more use of it, right? And
Hmm.
I think we all agree on that run the ball more. I'd like to see more commitment to it, and it sounds like Coach Prime is committed to that, and that the offense is that they understand that we got to run the ball more than we did last year, and so if they do that, I don't to your point, I don't think it matters who it is. If you rush for 1,500 yards as a team and it's 3-4 guys that are getting it, that's fine.
And just like Coach D. Lewis said, the work don't care who does it. The work just want to get done. I don't care
Yeah,
who's running the ball. We just got to make sure we're running the ball, and
right.
that's pure. I think Coach Prime is focused on that. He knows that that's going to help Shador and the whole squad and get them wins. At the end of the day, I think he wants to get wins. Of course,
Mhm.
Shador shine and get opportunities, and Travis Hunter get the opportunities because not just because of the sake of having opportunities, but it's like why did Jordan take so many shots? Why do Steph Curry take? Why did Kobe take so many shots? Because they're the best players. They got
Right,
the highest percentage of
right.
of it going in. So let
Yeah,
them shoot. So we're gonna give, just like Coach Livingston said, we're gonna give our shooters a chance to shoot. And he's using that term
Yeah.
meaning that we're going to give our good players a chance to make plays. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and I think, I think they got more good players than they had last year, across the board. Whether pick a position, I think there's more good players. We're going to see what the collection of the group is, how good they actually are, compared to their competition in the Big 12. I think there's a lot of good teams, but I just, in my personal opinion, and having covered this program for a long time, there's more good players on this roster than there was last year, and that's a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what it is. Brian's been covering this thing for the longest. So he's telling you facts. He's telling you from his point of view from being here covering this. How long has it been, Brian, since you've been covering the Buffs football?
This will be my 15th season.
15. I thought
Yeah.
I was right. I thought you said it before, so I was right on. 15th season covering
So
Buffs
just to
football.
put it in perspective, my first year covering them, they were in the Big 12.
Wow.
So
you saw them in there leaving and now coming back.
Yep.
Full circle.
Yeah.
That's major right there. So
been a while.
we're talking somebody who's seen it and he knows what has been going on around this program and now looking forward to what to expect. I would say this, with that big huge scoreboard, or should I say what is it, Megatron or screen or
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
The big one. Yeah.
The big one. My grandma would say that flat screen, that that TV. You got the big TV up there on the stadium.
Right.
So just like, how excited or what's the buzz around of people, wanting to see that and how that's going to be projected throughout the stadium?
I think people are super excited about it, and especially because there's video on the backside of it that people outside the stadium can watch some video as well. So, but I think, it's been this. It's sort of like you've had this little TV to watch, and all of a sudden you get the big screen. So Buff fans are excited about it, and I was in there last week, and could see the board and I was in the office of somebody who is on the complete opposite side of the stadium. And it looks pretty impressive from the opposite end of the stadium. So I'm sure it looks really good close up.
So for everybody that don't know, so now you just said on the back side of it, on the outside of it, they have two screens there. So prior to the screens, was that like a tailgate area? Was that an area of where people hung out or anything like that?
It's basically I guess, for lack of a better term, a commons area. It's outside, but I mean, it's more of a walkway area.
Yeah.
But there's a buffalo statue out there, and there's a kind of a main street out there. So
I'm trying to think, what side is that? Is that going to be the side where you walk into the football facility and the screen is there, or is it on the opposite side?
Opposite side.
It's on the opposite side. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah. All right. So I think I know where that is. So I think that could be now with the screen there, and it's a sold out game, or is it just people that doesn't have any tickets? That could be a new place, to hang out and watch the game right there.
Maybe so on those games that are sold out. Maybe that's where I don't know. I'm trying to think of who comes here, but maybe that's where the Cincinnati fans hang out because they can't get in the game or something like that.
Oh, baby, that's best around to be where I hang out at if I can't get into a game. Shoot, go out there and start me some stuff up.
Somebody bring you some food.
Somebody bring me some food out here, man. You know what? That might be what the best food is out there with the tailgating going on.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Shoot, I might be I might have just thought about something right there. Hey, y'all meet me outside behind the big screen. You might see your boy out there. All right.
That's the thing we miss by being in the press box is all the good tailgating food.
Right. Yeah. I was in the press box the first game, and I think it was just some pizza up there, right?
Yeah, it wasn't much. It used to be good food in the press box at Folsom, but it's changed.
Make a statement to Coach Prime where he hears it. I bet you he'll make that change. Dog, you tell me y'all eat pizza up there, dog? No, oh no, dog. We got to get that right.
Except that he's not a big fan of media, as we know, and so he may be like, "No, you guys are good with your hot dogs up there. You're good."
Hey, my guy from On 3, my main man, Philip Dukes, he told Coach Prime, he said, "Hey, Coach Prime, Hey man, I got all the shoes. You know what I mean? I'm a sneaker head basically, but I've been trying to get your new Nikes, man. It's hard to get them things. I can't get them. What about the media, coach? He was like, what about the media? He's he said, are we gonna be able to get some? What the media get? He said, oh, the media get a hug. That's it.
That's right.
Y'all gonna have to
Yeah,
you on your own with getting your shoes.
that's
So
right.
hey, you might be right on that, man. Y'all.
That's the one area that I don't think Chef Carl's gonna be cooking up anything for us.
Right, right. All right, man. So we got more to talk about, guys. We're going to continue to do this on Buff Time Podcast. We're going to talk about fall camp as it plays out. We'll be giving you guys our analysis on what we're seeing. Brian, been looking at this program for 15 years. I've been observing from afar since Coach Prime started coaching, and since Shador got into college football and came all the way up here to Boulder where it's colder. Now we're getting busy, getting ready to take over this thing and reach us college football playoffs. And that's where we're going with it. Shador Sanders, I'll say this before we get up out of here. Shador Sanders did say this. Bam. Shador Sanders on his top teams for the season via two legendary podcasts. He said number one, Georgia, number two, Colorado.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I think right now. For one, he's saying, okay, I'm going to acknowledge Georgia as being Georgia. But nobody else, I'm not going to put y'all above us. I think we're the number two team. Georgia gets their respect, but everybody else got to, hey, we feel like we can go toe to toe with everybody else. What do you think about that mindset of Shador Sanders?
Yeah, I mean, I would not put Colorado number 2, and neither would probably a whole lot of people. But if I'm a Buff fan, I want my quarterback thinking that they're one of the top 2 teams in the country. You better think that way, and that's the mindset that Shador Sanders has. Is that why are we playing this thing if we're not thinking that we're one of the best and that we're going to go out there and win? And so I like that mentality. And I'm a voter in the AP poll and had to turn in my top 25 today. I'll throw it out there now. I don't have Colorado in there. I think they can get in there, but preseason I don't have them in there. And I'd love to see him prove me wrong. And 2016 I didn't have them in there either, and they wound up going 10-2 in the regular season and reaching the top 10. So we'll see
Uh-oh.
if this team can do that too.
Uh-oh. Y'all hear that in the chat. Brian said he didn't have him in his preseason top 25. So y'all call him what y'all want to call him or whatever it is. I'm gonna ask this question though. What will it take for them to get in the top 25? Will it be a win over North Dakota State? Will it be them going 3-0? Will it be them going 5-0? What will it take for them to get in your top 25?
Yeah, I mean, so much of it depends on what other teams do too. But I think, North Dakota State's not going to do it. But if you go out to Nebraska and beat them, and then you beat Colorado State, and you beat Baylor, and those are all 4 winnable games. You're 4-0. I think they're certainly probably in the top 25 at that point. And so, I do need to add that I do think I have my prediction is better than most people have them. I did pick them, 6th in the Big 12, whereas most of the media has them, at 11th, and a lot of people have them, even lower than that. And so I do think they're better than people think. I just think that I want to see it first before they get in the top 25. I'm not sure they're quite there yet, but they can get there. I think the schedule early on sets up to where they can get there.
Yeah, I think they can, get to that 5-0. Or let me not jump ahead. We can go to 1-0, North Dakota
Yeah.
State. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't come out there cocky. Play this team like they're the best team in the world. Kill a gnat with a sledgehammer, so to speak. Come out there, try to play your best game, start early, and beat them down. If you can win by 21, 27 plus points, that'll set yourself up for next week to go into Nebraska to get a big win on their
Yeah.
field, which they're going to be pumped up for and ready for. Go in that thing focused and do what you're supposed to do. That's a 2-0 start. Colorado State, of course, rivalry game. They're going to do everything to throw you off, say what they need to say, pull your hair, hit you late, spit in your face, pull your toe, poke your eyes, whatever. They're going to Ric Flair you. They're going to do what they want to do to get you out of the game. But if you stay focused to get a win, you can be 3-0. Then you have that Baylor game, first Big 12 game. I don't think they're going to be as tough as some people think, although they're a good football team. But that might be a game that's going to surprise some people where Colorado will win by 30 plus points.
Yeah.
Because if you are in a situation coming off the two rivalry wins,
Uh,
sorry about that,
that's
dropping.
okay. That's
All
right.
right, I think those two rivalry wins will set them up for. It won't be as the Baylor game won't be as draining as the two rivalry games. It won't be as taxing or challenging, I think, as those two rivalry games with the things
Yeah.
floating around.
Yeah.
So 4-0 to start off. Uh, I don't even think the team should be worried about a top 25 at that point. Just find a way to get to 5-0 and work from there. But definitely 4-0 start um, is in reach, I think. So we'll see where we go from there, guys. Uncle
I,
Kai's
I
in the building. Oh
I'll say
no,
real quick. I do think if they're 2-0 and they've gone out to Nebraska and got that win, there's usually some teams that lose early on. I think nationally they could be back up in that top 25.
just like that with a good showing,
Right.
with a great
Yep.
showing, should I say, putting up some points and holding some people from some points and getting some turnovers. I like that. So a few shout outs before we get up out of here. Anything is everything. Shout out to you, Uncle Kai is in the building. Old school. Old school say you like my glasses. I appreciate it. These came from Glass House Opticals out in Denver, Colorado. Check them out. Also moving out to Arizona and Atlanta. Glass House Opticals on Instagram. Y'all get y'all some. Let me see it. He said, you know you're wrong, Brian. I see they talking about that. You're supposed to be in our top, supposed to be in your top 25, Brian. You're supposed to vote for him, Brian.
Hey, I've got to be an impartial voter, and if I don't think they're there yet, I'm not going to put them there. But I think that they can get there.
And it's all about the voting and what he thinks, and go from there, man. Everybody think has their own opinion of it, and everybody view things in their own ways. So um, if I was doing the top 25 right now, would I have them in there? As a real voter, you probably couldn't put them in right now preseason because of coming off a 4-8 season.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't put them in right now. You can say what you project and what you think can come together with all the guys that you brought in, but realistically, I don't think you would say that right now. But I think, just like you said, good showing those first two games. Then, especially if you're high on them already, you can justify putting them in and hope that they continue to win and build up and get into that top, top 15, top 10, whatever, with the great showing. So, hey, we've been on this thing for over an hour. We
Hey, real
appreciate
quick,
everybody checking in.
let
Go
me say
ahead,
one
B.
more thing about the preseason poll. I
Yeah.
don't worry about that too much. I don't put a ton of time and stock into the preseason poll, just because a lot of it's based off of last year, and I'm one that'll change a lot, based on the results when they start playing football games, and so if you're a fan, don't worry about the preseason poll either. Let's
Yeah.
see what I mean. I'm one as a voter. I'd be totally fine if we didn't do a poll until October 1st.
Right.
Let's see a month of
Let's
football.
see the team,
Yeah, I want to see a team.
because
So let's see where they are. I think, let me put it this way. I think they could be there by October 1st, because I think they can go 4-0 or 4-0 out of the gate. I think their fifth game is in September as well. But I think they can be 4-0 and get in the top 25. And if you're there then, that means more than being in the preseason anyway.
exactly, and then as a coach, you're telling your players, you're not worried about what ranking you are at season or
Right.
week number 4 anyway. You
Right.
know, it's probably better that you're not ranked in the top 25. So now you have something to work for. You say, hey, we got something to prove. You got something, play with a chip on your shoulder now. These guys, it's us against the world now, as
Yeah.
opposed to they got us in rank number 18, guys. We got to live up to that.
Yeah.
So, hey, it could be a good thing. Build off of it. Depends on how you coach it and you look at it and you play it to your team. It could be a good thing.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. So why is everybody booked up except Travis? You're wrong about that, Miss Kylia. Travis has gained reportedly about 15 pounds. Um, so that I think he went from 180 to about 195. That's 15, right?
I
So
just think he naturally looks lean.
Yeah.
But I do think he looks stronger to me.
Oh,
I don't
he's
know about
definitely
you, but
definitely.
I just think
It,
he's
even
naturally looks lean.
from his first year at Jackson State, from seeing him out here in Hawaii, the Polynesian Bowl game,
Yeah,
to seeing him at Jackson State, to seeing him at Colorado, he's definitely looked like you know uh, a, a young man that's growing into his um, mature body, so to speak. You get that extra thickness, and you know that he's going to be. I said this 2 years ago. He's going to play at 197 to 200, 200. I'll say 202 pounds in the pros or whatever. He's going to play around that range
yeah,
probably his whole career, just like Coach Prime did. Coach Prime played at right around 200 pounds. Ask me how I know, because I looked at his baseball and football cards all my life. And when I reached
yeah.
200 pounds in eighth grade, that was like a milestone. So, all right, we're not gonna hold you guys too much longer, man. We appreciate everybody checking in. Y'all hitting the like and subscribing, and also just coming and engaging on our premium primetime Buff Talk on the Buff Time podcast with Brian and Chico.
Hey, one
Brian,
last thing. One last thing. Lonnie's pointing out he has this countdown here. Just remind people the Buffs officially become members of the Big 12 at midnight tonight, August 2nd, which is tomorrow. They're in the Big 12. So that's what Lonnie's referring to there. But tomorrow's a milestone day for the Buffs. They officially
nice,
switched conferences.
nice. Appreciate that, Lonnie, for that nice piece of information right there. Anybody else got things to join in? Let us know. Y'all can hit up Brian. Let them know where they can hit you up at, Brian.
At Brian Howell 33 on X or Twitter, whatever. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of people yelling at me now about my top 25, but that's okay. Uh, I get it from other fans too. It's just part of the deal. But again, let's look at where they are end of September, and then we can talk.
Right. And hey, if everybody do what they're supposed to do, we'll be right in the right places, sitting pretty
That's
by
right.
that time. All right. So shout out to the whole defensive line, offensive line, and all the positions out there, man. Y'all stay tuned. Oh, if you're listening in right now, y'all can know right now. If you want to have another listen in to another exclusive, be a part of another exclusive, join in on Friday. We have the first Prime Parents Roundtable. I have the parent. Should I tell the parents who I have right now? I'll tell two of them. All right, I'll tell two of them. Well, how about three? All right, we got Herman Smith the third. His father was joining us. Khalil Benson's mom is going to make a return, along with Benjamin Hood, the father of Colton and Brandon Hood. So we'll have those three parents joining us. Soon we'll have Alejandro Mata's dad come back on, and so on. So more and more on Prime Parents. Stay tuned this Friday, live Prime Parents. Sunday, Uncle Chico live. And then next week we got more lives of Buff Time podcast and Buff 'em updates. All right, stay tuned. You already know what it is. Know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, comment, all the other good stuff. BIWGDOWG Chico to the CL Monitor, the same piece of the middle. Yeah.